So yet another big box on the channel. Today we have a large box from Batavi. This is the Architect, their new integrated bracelet watch. And what I have here is basically the outer cardboard box. They have a very nice wood inner box that is very heavily lacquered with a gloss on it. The outer box is just cardboard. It's a reviewer's watch, so this has been around for a little while, so it is definitely scratched up and dented, but the packaging itself is really beautiful. The inside is sort of like a faux suede, and then of course you have the watch. Inside here, in this little compartment, you get an extra strap and a little tool for actually changing the strap. It's just a screwdriver, and that is because you have screwed links. There's an extra link, and then there is the extra strap. Now the extra strap, I usually don't change the strap on the unboxing. Usually I do that during a full review, but I'm going to do that today because I'd like to show you something about that strap that I think is a little bit weird and interesting, I guess. But there you go. That is a very nice box that this comes in. I hope they don't spend too much money on these boxes, because I always like that to get a nice box, but I'd rather have more money put into the watch than the actual box, because I don't wear the box. But here is the watch. This is the Architect, as I mentioned, and this is the one in the blue dial, and they are coming out with 3 different colors for this watch. This is the steel blue. There will be a copper and then a wood dial. So the copper color is made out of copper, and then the wood dial is actually made out of wood. I would shy away from the wood, as I always do, because I don't like wood in watches. Very, very few of my watches have ever had wood in them, and I've never really had great experiences with that. So really quickly, let me zoom in a little bit closer, and then we'll go into some of the details. So as I mentioned, this is the blue steel dial. So it is a blue dial. It has applied indices. Those indices are in steel as well. They are not loomed. However, they have some brushing and polishing on them. I'll do a macro of that, because I actually think that's one of the best features of this watch. It definitely is the dial. The dial itself is a very deep, dark blue, and those indices are really cool. They are brushed on the tops and then polished on the sides. So that's actually something very difficult to do, and it sort of elevates this watch a little bit more than most of your typical micro brand sort of integrated bracelet homages to brands like Vacheron AP and Patek Philippe. So I think that's pretty cool, actually. And then, of course, this is an integrated bracelet. So this is all brushed. So there is no polished elements on the entire watch. And also, there really isn't very many chamfered edges. So that does add some sharpness to the bracelet. So the bracelet is a little bit sharp in certain areas, especially when the bracelets are folded up like this, when the bracelet links are folded up. It articulates pretty well, and it doesn't stick very much. But you could see there are some sharp edges on each one of these links. So that's something to definitely take into account, especially considering that this is a prototype. So I don't know if they'll actually correct that in the future production model. So this is a 39 millimeter watch, and then the lug to lug is 47 millimeters. However, since the lugs don't actually taper down directly, the lugs are a little bit bigger than that. And let me measure that right here. So I would say this is more like a 51 millimeter lug to lug, because like I said, the bracelet itself, it does not taper down directly, and that adds a lot of actual girth to the width of this watch. Not that this is uncomfortable for a smaller wrist. I have a 7.5-inch wrist. Obviously, we'll do a look at that on my wrist in a few minutes. But you can see those male end links just jut out, and then it comes straight down. So 47 millimeters, I think, is what they have on their website, but it really is more like a 51 millimeter. And then it says 10.6 millimeters thick on their website. And I think it's actually a little bit thicker than that with the dome sapphire crystal. And I'm getting it around 11.3 millimeters thick for this watch. It has a double dome sapphire crystal. And you also get a sapphire crystal display case back, where you could see the Miyota 90 $39, the dateless version of the 9000 series Miyota. And then it is also signed on the back, Amsterdam. They say some of the manufacturing actually takes place in Amsterdam. I would imagine most of it takes place in Hong Kong. They say it also takes place in Hong Kong. They don't give a percentage, obviously. The rotor is not signed on here, so I hope that they end up signing the rotor. I think that would be a little bit nicer than just having the plain Miyota rotor on here. It will elevate this a little bit more, I think, as well. And as I mentioned, the case itself is all brushed. There are no chamfered edges, so I really wish that they would polish maybe some of the edges on the case as well. It would take away some of that sharpness and would give it a little bit more appeal, in my opinion. It gets a screwed-in crown, so you do have 100 meters of water resistance, as I mentioned, sapphire crystal on the front and back. This is actually going to be hitting Kickstarter in April. I think it's around April 2nd, and they are charging around $400 for this. So it's actually a very attractive price, considering that you're getting, that Miyota movement and the packaging. So if you care about the packaging, the packaging on this watch is actually very nice. It's not actually useful, but it is nice. It's a very nice box. However, like I said, it's not really useful. I prefer to get something like a carrying case, a leather case, even a canvas case at this $400 price point, because it would make more sense, because I could actually use it again, especially if you don't have a lot of watches. You could use it once more, just to travel with a couple of watches if you're traveling, things like that. It makes a lot more sense to get a travel case. Double deployment buckle here, and it is signed Batavi right there. It doesn't line up perfectly, as you can see. I've noticed that this does not line up perfectly, and even when I put it back, it sort of goes back to that original spot for some reason. I don't know. H-link bracelet, and it does taper. I measured around 26 millimeters down to around 18 millimeters. You can see the links do stick a little bit. See, this link just stuck, and you just have to flatten it out, and it will flatten. That is typical of a micro brand integrated bracelet watch. The integrated bracelet is a very hard thing to do, and I'm actually going to throw this on my wrist so you guys could see. But today I am wearing an integrated bracelet watch, and this is my Vacheron Overseas World Timer. And it's very hard to make a bracelet that, for an integrated bracelet watch like this, that doesn't stick. So this never sticks. But this is, like I said, this is my Vacheron. You can see the World Timer movement. This is a really awesome watch. It's a very, very expensive watch. Also, this retails for $36,000, somewhere around there, $400. We're talking about a watch that's offering a lot of what this watch offers for a very, very good price. But I do have a watch here that does stick sometimes, not very often, but that is my my AP Royal Oak. So this is also a bracelet that I've noticed it doesn't really stick very often. You'll get any sharp edges, obviously, and everything like that. But the cases are very, very similarly shaped. I think that's where they went for. On the Batavi, you could see there's sort of that plane, that sort of edge that they did here, and the way that the lugs actually turn down. Very, very similar. This is the diver, so it's very thick. But if you had the Royal Oak, like the 400, that would look very, very similar case-wise to this watch. And also the same thickness, really, around the same thickness as this watch. But let me throw it on my wrist. I have a 7.5-inch wrist. This actually came pretty much close to my wrist size, and you can see it does wear a little bit larger than that 39 millimeters, I would say, and that is because of the lug width. And you can see it sits kind of, flush at the junction between that male end link, but not completely flush, and that's because I do have maybe a little bit smaller of a wrist. If it was a little bit larger, it would actually sit up a little bit higher and be completely flush, but it's not. So very quickly, I'm going to do a strap change, and then I'm going to do a lume shot. There are lume plops that go all the way around the dial, and then there's a little bit of lume on the hands. It's an added bonus. This is a dress watch primarily, not really a sports watch, although it has some sports watch aspects. but there's not a ton of lume. But we'll do a lume shot just to check it out at the end. But very quickly, I'm going to change the strap because I think that's kind of important for this watch. If you are buying it, you're getting this strap, I believe it might be included. It may not be. I don't know the details for the Kickstarter, but let's throw it on the strap and then we'll take a look. Okay, well, here it is on the strap. First, I'll go through some of the good. The bracelet coming off was very, very easily taken off, so the tolerances are really, really good. And putting this back on was really easy as well. You have screwed links on this bracelet end link sort of thing. And the bracelet, the strap goes on very, very easily. I noticed that one side has about a 0.5 millimeter of space, maybe a little bit more than that. I don't know if that's just the strap. It's also a prototype, so that could be part of it also. And there's a little bit of space on this side. Not a huge deal. The biggest deal here is the lug width. I mean, it's almost comical. I don't know why they would do it this way. I would just have, I mean, this is a 57 millimeter almost lug width with this on here. It doesn't make any sense to do it this way. It doesn't look very good, and it just makes the lug width really big. It hangs off my wrist. I would never wear it like this. It just I have a 7.5 inch wrist, and it's hanging off the ends of my wrist. So if you have a smaller wrist, this is unwearable on a strap. I would get a strap that integrates into the existing holes for the case itself. These end links make absolutely no sense. I get the idea behind it. They don't articulate, and that is a big problem. It just doesn't look good either. I think it looks kind of weird. But that's my opinion. Tell me what you think in the comments below. You could also see it doesn't integrate into the case very well either. There's like these hangovers from the case itself. It just doesn't work. I'll take a picture of it. And then here is the buckle. The buckle also not signed. I hope they update that as well, because you have this watch and then it doesn't sign and you don't sign the buckle. It doesn't really make that much sense to me. But anyway, that's the only really big moan that I would have about this watch. Other than that, it is pretty cool. Very quickly, I'm going to do a lume shot. Lume is actually pretty decent on the watch. It's not incredible. It seems that the 12 o'clock is a little bit less bright than the actual rest of the plops that they have around the circumference of the dial, and the hands aren't that bright, but it's not bad, especially considering it's a dress watch. Any sort of lume is an added bonus in my opinion. I think it looks actually pretty good for a dress watch. Definitely an added bonus. But in general, I don't like it on the strap. I really like it on the bracelet. I wish they did a couple of little things, as I mentioned throughout, the chamfered edges and signing that buckle, things like that. I think that would be really good. Maybe signing the rotor as well. That would be helpful as well. I like that they screwed down the crown. You get 100 meters water resistance. It's sort of a cross between a dress and a sort of a sports watch. But tell me what you think in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. Tell me what you think of this watch. What do you think of the brand? I think they're a pretty cool brand. They make some really cool watches. But tell me what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It's super helpful for the channel. Please also follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is WatchChrisBlog. And really, that is it. Thank you for logging on. I'll catch you guys in the next